All right. So yeah, I'm gonna rank it based on. Wait, 1 sec. All right, cool. All right, so we're gonna rank these based on the PlayStation 2 version of Kingdom Hearts 1, because if we do HD, it's not as interesting. I think we need to accumulate how many cutscenes are in the run, uh, the boss battles, the RNG, the strats required or used. All of that needs to be considered when doing a tier list. This is based on enjoyment. This isn't based on anything really objective. All right, so we'll start with Destiny Islands. So with Destiny Islands, it's got like a nice soundtrack, fun movement, but it's very repetitive because it's the earliest world in the game. There's a high volume of cutscenes, so as much as I would love to put this in a higher ranking, and we should probably add a. I don't think there'll be any in F tier personally, but let's just make an F tier. We'll make it like. Oh, my mouse literally died. God, I'm such a professional, aren't I? There we go. So, in my opinion, Destiny Islands, for the enjoyment on PlayStation 2, I would put it B. Because although it's got like, it's fun to play, it's got a lot of cutscenes. A lot. And at the start of the run, that can be kind of like shit. Alright, then we got Travis Town. And in this one, I have to combine Travis Town's 1, 2, 3, and 4 visits. I think it's kind of similar to Destiny Islands again. It's got a lot of cutscenes, but it does have guard armor. It does have soldiers, and it does have Leon. For PS2 port, I would put this in C tier. And the reason why I put it in C tier, and by the way, I might change my mind as I go. The reason why I put it in C tier is there's a lot of cutscenes. There's like a lot of cutscenes. A lot of just dodge rolling around the map. The coolest thing is Waterway Clip. And as well, the power-up chest is kind of annoying. So you gotta grab the power-up chest. You've got to grab... I guess the postcards and the errands you run around aren't too bad. But, like, yeah, I don't know. It's no standout world. It's just Destiny Islands, but with more running around the map. So I can't rank him better than DI. And DI's cutscenes are more fun. Now, Wonderland, on the PS2 port, I think goes A tier. Now, I put it in A tier because there's not a lot of cutscenes, so it's actually quite fast, and the cutscenes are nice and like they're fun to like watch. The gameplay is not as bad as people make it out to be. Like, yeah, it's still risky. Cards and tower, you can die. And Trickmaster is one of the funnest fights in the run. I really enjoy doing Trickmaster. Now, is the only thing that's kind of annoying is the Lotus Forest fight, because you have 2 MP bar. But if you're playing on Final Mix PS2, Wonderland's like awesome. It's really good. But yeah, I like Wonderland. It could potentially go up to S tier in this video, this fucking tier list thing I'm doing. Alright, cool. Alright, we got Deep Jungle. Now, Deep Jungle has a medium amount of cutscenes. I wouldn't say it's as bad as some others. It's still got a fair bit, but it's got nice movement around the worlds. I like the movement that you do in it. I like the routing. Power Wilds is actually like, although Power Wilds is very RNG dependent, I do still enjoy the aspect because it's very much. Sorry, my dog has got a little toy. Max, need you to get out? Come on. It's got a nice variety of fights. It relies you to be a bit more instinctive and rely on your own judgment, which is cool. Sabor 2 fight's fun. Clayton's fun. Sabor 1's a little annoying, but I actually don't mind it. I would actually slot this either... I'll slot it in B tier, but it may move up to A. And the reason why I would slot it into B tier is because the RNG in Power Wilds does dictate a lot of the outcome of the pace of your run. OC, I've not really done OC on one English, but I mean, I'll try to make a judgment call. It doesn't have a heavy volume of cutscenes, which is a positive. The barrels is fun, and I'm gonna say that the Hurt Cup wouldn't be too bad. I reckon the fights there would be pretty fun. I don't have a lot of experience, but I reckon it would be one of the funner segments to do. So I would probably, it might even go up to S, but it's pretty fun. Agrabah. Now, I'm gonna slot this in F tier. I gotta have an F tier, right? I need to have one. And the reason why Agrabah goes in F tier is it is the most RNG I don't know if RNG is the right word, but it's basically the massive run killer. There's Pot Centipede, which has a heavy volume of lag, has horrible hitbox detection, so you have to do these slow, awful high air combos to register hits. Fucking Cave of Wonders phase is a pain in the ass. It's very easy to get knocked off, even if it's not even your fault half the time. Jafar 1 is awful. It relies you to depend on party members. Jafar 2 can also screw you over a bit, but I think Jafar 2 is probably the best part of Agrabah. But it doesn't save it from F tier. I have to be strict here. If there's a massive flaw in a world, it doesn't mean I think the world all in all is F tier, but in the Kingdom Hearts 1 English speedrun, it is an F tier. Alright? Now, Atlantic is just like OC. It's a world that I haven't really played on the English port. I've played it a lot in Final Mix. Sorry, I actually had chat closed this whole time. I've done, obviously, All Worlds in Final Mix. And if this was All Worlds Final Mix, it would go into S. And the reason why it would go into S is that it's consistent. Like, it's got close to no RNG at all. And obviously, cutscenes aren't a major problem. Movement is kind of fun because it's different. It's not dodge rolling everywhere. You're using swimming mechanics and Mermaid Kick. Like, I really like Mermaid Kick movement. Ursula 2 is an annoying fight. And I imagine in one English, it would actually be kind of a pain. I don't think it's a C tier. I reckon it's a B tier. And I think it's in front of Destiny Islands. I reckon it would be somewhere around there. But if we're talking Final Mix, this would be different. Now, Monstro's pretty quick. It's pretty much a straight line. But the only annoying thing about Monstro is that because there's RNG... So I don't know if you include the Monstro RNG in the world map in the tier list of the world itself. I don't think that's fair. But I will incorporate the fact that you do have to grab Water Gleam before you leave, purely because there is RNG. So you have to detour away to then detour back. Now, it's got Chamber 3 skip, which is a positive. I really like that movement. The fights are pretty repetitive. It's just air combo spam, and it can be kind of bullshit. So I don't think it's that good, to be honest. I would lean on D tier because it's... I mean, the cutscene volume isn't too heavy, but it's heavy enough to be a little bit annoying, and it's not got anything interesting, so I'll slot it into D, but it might move up to C. Alright, so now we got Halloween Town. Now, this... I gotta be careful not to be biased, because this world just killed my last run. But Halloween Town's pretty interesting, because it's got... Obviously, it's got your Heartless Waves, it's got your Berserk strats, it's got Oogie 2, so there's that to be considerate of. There's Black Fungus spawn to be considerate of as well, and there is a heavy volume of cutscenes. Like, I would lean on this being some of the heavier parts. It's not too bad, it's not Neverland bad, but it's still pretty bad. Halloween Town... The positives are the Berserk strat's unique and cool, and it gives itself a bit of an identity. And the Heartless Waves can be fun to do, but it is very RNG dependent. If you get white shrooms, it's a lot better. And if we're talking English, it's not that good because you're low on MP, and it's really annoying. LSB's a shit fight. It's just Blizzard spammed in some combo spam. And Oogie 2 is a horrible fight as well. To be honest... I would lean on this towards D tier, high D tier, maybe low C tier. I would probably I'll put it low C for now. Alright, so we got Neverland. Neverland has just recently gotten better. It has recently gotten an upgrade with Hook. If we were talking before the upgrades, it would have joined Agrabah in F tier. But I think the upgrades have definitely boosted it up. The problem with Neverland is it has the heaviest volume of cutscenes, arguably in any world. I think Hollow Bastion might, obviously... Hollow Bastion has the most cutscenes, but it is super plot relevant, so you can kind of give a bit of understanding to it. But with Neverland, I know Riku is there, but the cutscenes are still very, very long, and the world itself and the gameplay you're doing is very short. Like, the cutscene to gameplay ratio is awful in this world. It's kind of good because you get a break, so there's a positive and negative to it. It depends on how you look at it. But if I'm looking at the worlds individually, like ILs, Neverland would be the most unbearable to grind. Anisaur is really annoying because it doesn't quite have... Like, you can't do Berserk because it ends up being too slow and your party members will heal you. As well, like, you got to use Pumpkinhead because of the strength. You need the additional strength, and Pumpkinhead sucks in the Anisaur room. Stop is weaker, so you can't do as much. You can't, like, loop him as effectively as in Final Mix. And the Simba isn't as effective as well, so you have to still kill the last wave. So it's still, in my opinion, not a good world. And I think the cutscenes is what probably fucks it up the most. So I will slot this in D, below Monstro. Monstro, yeah. And then we got Hollow Bastion. This one's really hard because obviously with Hollow Bastion, the fights are really unique. Like, Mao 1 is cool, Dragon Mao is cool, Riku 2 is also very cool. So the boss fights themselves are actually mostly pretty good. There is a heavy volume of cutscenes, but there's also a lot of cool shit we do, like Dumbo Skip and Haste 2G or Holy G movement and stuff like that. It's got a bit more unique stuff going on in it than any other world. Now, would it be S tier? That's a really hard one because Riku 1 is an awful fight, but like everything has its flaws, I guess. Like the biggest flaws of Hollow Bastion is the Riku 1 fight and I guess the cutscenes. It's a lot of cutscenes. But I give the it's probably the cutscene to gameplay ratio is probably not even as bad as Neverland. But the cutscenes at least have a lot more relevant sense in what they're doing, right? And it's like I would rather probably like 2 long cutscenes to deal with than 5 short ones, because you can at least utilize them for breaks. And that's what's good about Hollow Bastion is you can use them for bathroom breaks, and the boss fights are really good. The Dumbo movement is awesome. I'm gonna do S tier actually. I am gonna do S tier for Hollow Bastion because it is a really cool world. Now, End of the World is the last one. End of the World, if we were talking before the reroute, it would be down very low. But ironically, with the new routing, it has all of a sudden shot up incredibly high. It has gone from being like a D to C tier world up to an A or S just because of the rerouting. The issue previously was Oathkeeper was so weak that we couldn't kill Angel Stars quick enough. And we couldn't kill fucking Invisibles quick enough. And we couldn't kill Chernobog quick enough. There's just endless amounts of problems with End of the World. But then all of a sudden we equip Oblivion and everything changes. Now, the main flaw of End of the World is that the Invisibles fight still sucks, but it sucks in every version. Simba sucks, so it makes Final Rest more stressful, and it makes OC Portal a bit more stressful, but they still end up with equal result, just like FM. So, in saying that as well, there's also Ansem 1 is fun to do. Ansem 2 is really cool because it's got a double DM skip. Ansem 3 is unique because cutscene skip actually matters and it creates a unique identity as well. World of Chaos can be a little annoying, but it's still really fun to chew through health. And Ansem 4 is just like FM beginner, if not quicker. So that in mind, I actually think End of the World is actually a really, really fun world to do. I enjoy it a lot. I would slot it in S tier. In many ways, I like it more than Hollow Bastion, but I think the strats are a bit more interesting in Hollow Bastion. I didn't even consider Hollow Bastion 2. Hollow Bastion 2 is not as good as 1, obviously, but I think it's good enough to get the S tier. And that would be my ranking for Kingdom Hearts 1 English worlds. In terms of speedrunning. Not in terms of like enjoyment or in terms of dialogue or in terms of aesthetics or anything like that. It's got nothing to do with that at all. It's purely to do with the speedrun itself. And yeah, that would be how I would personally rank it up. It's just, yeah, that's just what it is, right? It is what it is. It's not that I think Agrabah is a shit world, but I think it's a shit speedrun world. And I think Olympus Coliseum is a great speedrun world. Like, that's just how it is. Because I've got to consider the cutscene, the gameplay ratio, and I've got to consider the RNG and the boss strats and the routing and other elements too. And I think I've got it pretty concise. Like Travis Town and Halloween Town, like these ones here in the middle are the most controversial. I think most people would probably come to a similar agreement about S and A and D and F, but this middle area is where I think a lot of people chop and change. My biggest contemplation is Atlantica better than Deep